don't be scared to dream. Whatever that dream is, don't limit yourself. I feel like we all kind of always say, well, that's unrealistic. I don't see myself really doing it. I'm not seeing the results right now. Thinking bigger is by no means the way to go. And I remember one of my mentors told me, never change the target, change the actions you're doing to get to the target.
Hey everyone, so today we have a treat. Noe Fragoso, a real estate professional. He's gonna walk us through what it takes in order for you to leave your full-time job, dive in fully into the business, be able to leverage yourself to find financial freedom and making sure that you are designing the ideal way to retire. So in today's episode of the Journey podcast, we get to learn and hear from my good friend Noe Fragoso. All right, and welcome everyone to the Journey podcast by Collected Closers. I am your host, Jose Alvarez, and then we have our guest today, Noe Fragoso. I'm excited to talk to you, man. You know, it's interesting because I was sharing with the team that you're one of the people that I admire. I think out of my whole entire 15, 16-year career, you're one of the agents and the professionals that I have admired from a distance. Like we have never really talked, but every single time that I have like heard you at either at a seminar or just a mastermind or one of the classes that you teach, you always bring so much passion, so much love for the business and just everything you do, man. So welcome and thank you for being here. We're really excited to talk to you today.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jose. It's an honor. I can't say enough. I'm so happy that I was able to say something at one of those events or meetings that resonated with you. So it's an honor. It's a privilege, and thank you so much.
Right. Well, let's get started. Like one of the biggest things that we emphasize with Collected Closers, which is the whole starting point of where this podcast got started, is the fact that in the sales industry and the business industry, we're usually trying to convince someone, close someone, or just sell something, right, to someone, and not knowing that the beginning of that starts within thyself, right? Like within us, and
Yeah.
getting to really convince ourselves to either start a brand new business or not give up on the business is one of the things that we always want to make sure that we emphasize for our viewers, that that is the biggest challenge, is that, and that's where everything starts. So with you, man, just tell us a little bit about your background. Like, I want people to really get to know who Noe Fragoso is, from what do you do now, and then also we're gonna take it back to the beginning, so that way people get to know you a little bit more.
Love it, love it. So right now I am a real estate broker in the Chicagoland area, managing broker for Pack Realty Illinois. I've been in the real estate industry now for 15 plus years. I started I got licensed in 2010 essentially. I didn't go full time till I was 2012. Prior to real estate, I was truck driving for about 7, 8 years. And I did that for obviously that length of time after dropping out of college to help the family make ends meet. So college dropout, I was going to school to become a high school math teacher. Life happened, have to help the family make ends meet. Had to drop out, started working as a truck driver, and eventually I fell into the beautiful world of real estate. And then I got to a point where I liked what I was doing. I feel like this is obviously in a career that we could always take advantage of with unlimited potential. And I wanted to kind of operate at the highest level possible. And here we are today, still trying to get better every day.
Amazing. So when you were a truck driver, how long did you do that? How long was that season for you?
From basically till like 21, 20, yeah, 21. I turned 21. Immediately I
Wow.
got my license and I did that till I was about 28, 29 or so. Yeah,
Okay. So you were truck driving. Now that's a whole different industry right there.
whole different thing.
I mean, sometimes I hear like, oh, you know what? I was in the car business, or I was in like sales, and then I went to a seminar and I landed as a realtor now. So, I mean, how did you happen to land into the real estate industry after?
Yeah, so when I was truck driving, it was really just because where can I immediately start making money? That was like
Right.
was the lowest point of entry. So I
Okay.
had a lot of good friends that were in the industry that let me get into it, and I started obviously working there. And even then, that's a whole thing. You got to work your way up, and I did that for several years, and I was making pretty good money. Prior to that, because it doesn't have any real estate or sales experience there. Prior to
Hmm.
that, I was working at jobs like TCF Bank or as a teller. I would
Okay.
do a hardware store. I worked at Menards for several years, so I had that experience, but it
Okay.
wasn't quite this. Just tires, I did that, was selling tire shops. So a little bit of everything. I've been working since I was essentially 14 years old. So always in that workforce, always with the mind of trying to kind of build some sort of business. And even when I was truck driving, when I started making good money, I was like, well, how am I eventually going to build something? What can I do? So when you're on
Yeah.
the road for long hours, you get a lot of $1 million ideas. The execution is kind of obviously where people lack.
Sure.
And eventually, by the grace of God, I feel like my truck broke down and I was actually
Really?
out of work for several months because
Okay.
they weren't fixing my truck in time. So I fell behind on a lot of bills, and I was the breadwinner at that point, right? So I was like, I can't let this happen again. So what can I do to have a backup plan? So somehow I decided to just kind of get my real estate license just in case, side hustle. And when I got that, I just started telling family and friends that I got my license, and if they needed any assistance with
Right.
anything, just to reach out. And sure enough, my first client came from my ex manager at the bank that her sister was on the market, and if I could help her. And I said, sure. I'm brand new. I don't know anything, but I'll do my best. And sure enough, that was my first client, my first lead, and they
Wow.
led me to another referral, and from there, it just kept snowballing.
If you always connected with people on the referral basis, because that's something that I've noticed that you talk about a lot, like being able to build that community. Could you say that that comes from like your background? Because I also have seen on your social media, and this connects with me because I would go to Zacatecas. I'm from Mexico, right? Zacatecas, and I will go there every year in January. And I one time I noticed on your Instagram you posted there that you also go visit Mexico. So your
Yeah.
family, have they been in business? Is that something that you brought along from there? How did that happen?
Yeah, so our I'm from Mexico, Durango, so it's small,
Okay.
tight knit community. And obviously, I'm sure you're familiar. Zacatecas, very much
Sure.
so, right there. Los pueblos, los ranchos, everybody kind of knows each other, right? So
Right.
when we go there, and I would go there basically all summer. I went to school
Right.
there for a couple of years, and then I would come here, go to school, and as soon as school was
Sure.
over, we would go to Mexico. So, and then even here in where we're from in Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, it's like Duranguito. It's like small. It's like everybody from over there is here. Everybody knows each other. My high school friends, the majority of them were from there. And it was just this little tight knit community. And when I got into real estate, my parents' agent was also a realtor from the same town.
Okay.
So, and I remember, I tell him the story that I remember being a kid on one of my summer breaks in Mexico and saying, one day I'm going to grow up and have a career. And one day I want to be like that guy. Because I saw that he
Yeah.
was there all summer, dressed well, enjoying his time. And I was like, I don't know what he does, but I want to do that. And sure
Nice.
enough, when the time came that I got my license and I needed to connect with somebody, my dad was like, hey, well, why don't you reach out to my good friend?
Nice.
And sure enough, he took me under his wing from the same town. And I saw that his business was all of it referral base.
Street
And he
flow
was in
base.
the industry for like 30 plus years. So I was like, well, that builds longevity. Let me not reinvent the wheel. Let me just do what he's doing. And it was just kind of putting yourself out there with your center of influence, your community, the people that trust you already as an individual, and just say, hey, I can help you on the business side of things.
So take us back to that beginning, because like I know from the beginning, I when someone joins the company, I usually say, hey, go after your COI, connect with the people that know you and love you and trust you. but for whatever reason, it's one of the hardest things for people to do. And I don't know if it's just the lack of the know of there is business there, or is it that they want to complicate their life, or just the fact that it's sometimes they're embarrassed. When you started day one as a realtor, did your business right away you tapped into that, or did you go through other funnels and sources to operate?
Yeah, great question, because I do see that a lot. That obviously for me, I'm just, helping people do what I did.
Right.
And it's a lot of people are very hesitant to do that, put themselves in front of their family, friends, or ex coworkers, things like that. For I think what helped me was that I was so unattached because I had already another full time job. It wasn't
Okay.
like I was like, oh, I need to survive off of this. I was just at first just kind of like, well, a ver qué pasa. Let me just tell them I got my license. And my intention was really just to kind of, I really wanted to do real estate for me. I just wanted to learn the business, kind of get curious about the ins and outs of it. I wasn't really thinking I'm going to become a realtor. So
Okay.
when I put myself out there, whether it was my immediate family or friends, I really didn't care. I was just kind of like, because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I hope you don't really call me because it's kind of like I don't want to mess up either. However, I did see it as an opportunity to kind of get out of the hamster wheel I was in with the other job, which was very grinding, long hours. It was working for somebody else type of thing. So I was like, well, there's potential. Let me get a little bit serious. So I kind of said, you know what? Let me be unattached. Lo que va a ser, lo que va a ser. Let me just kind of start putting myself out there, at least with the people immediately around me. And if I kind of made it where, like, if I could get two or three people to work with me, I could build off of that. So I just kind of made it a really small goal that was to me obtainable, but still kind of out there. And then at that point, yeah, I just started kind of just putting myself out there. And like I said, the one that reached out first was an ex coworker. It wasn't even like my family or friends, it was an ex coworker. My first closing, it was somebody that I saw that when I was done with my first client after that showing, the guy was outside just kind of like, hey, can I see this property? I don't have an agent. And I was like, sure, come on by. And then he was my first closing ever because this deal was cash, closed
Ready
in a
to
month
go.
and in a couple of weeks. And I just said, let me just give you really good service, take care of you like how I would take care of my own people, my family, and whatnot. And when we're done, if you like what I did, feel free to refer me out. And I just would say that. And he was happy that he ended up calling me back to connect me with his sister-in-law, then his brother-in-law, then his cousins, and then that led just to them connecting me with other people. And it got to the point where I still had my full-time job. And I think my first year, I think I closed about 8 transactions just part
Nice.
time. And then it was already keeping me busy enough where I was like, whoa, I see and by that time, 2010, 2011, I mean, it wasn't like I was making a lot of money. My closings were on 50, 60, $80,000 properties. It was when the market was, still coming out of the crash and the recession. So my paychecks were after splits were like 500, $600. However, I was like, if I could do this multiple times with multiple people, and if the market keeps trending up, I'll be okay. And then I just kind of continue to just ask for the business, ask for the referrals, and then taking it a step further, like showcasing it to like, because I think a lot of us are scared of, ay, ¿qué van a decir? ¿Qué van a pensar mi familia y mis amigos, right? So then we're like hesitant to kind of put ourselves out there because you have an image of what you think their image of you is.
Yes,
And I
I can see that.
and then I said, well, I don't know what they think of me, but I don't want to be where I'm at now. I want to be see myself as this. Let me start putting that image out there by using social media, things like that. And that center of influence is going to eventually start to come back to me. And it's really just putting myself out there as much as I can in a good light, business professional. I know what I'm doing. I am here to help. I'm not here for the commission type of thing. I'm just here to provide a service and give you info, and then people just start reaching back out to me.
You think it was your sense of detachment that helped you like attract more people? Because this is the one thing I also don't want people to confuse what you're saying. Because some people say, well, I'm just gonna go careless on my business. We don't say that, right? We're
No.
saying, but at the same time, you think that whole sense of like surfers benefit after, you think that's what helped, or what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think when you come from that state of mind, now don't get me wrong, I wanted the deals, I wanted clients, I wanted to do more. I had goals and targets, and but I don't think I learned to clearly identify that till later. You know,
Got it.
initially I just wanted to say, hey, I want to go full time. How can I go full time? Well, if I'm closing a deal and my average commission is, $2,000, $3,000, well, how many deals do I need? And at what point can I supplement my current income to then make the move, right? So I kind of started breaking it down in that pattern, in that way. And I just started seeing that the trend was going in that direction. Real estate was back. After 2010, after 2011, 2012, I was like, okay, the market's going to continue to move up. I kind of reached my ceiling. And that was the other thing. I reached my ceiling where I was at trucking, and I said, "Where's my ceiling, or what's the potential of real estate?" And real estate just looked so much more like more potential for me. And doing that, I said, in order for me to get to where I want to see myself, for personally or with my family, I have to take a step in faith with into the unknown. I can play it safe and I'll be okay because I see what you can become as a owner, operator, truck driver. It's a great job, great career. My respects to all the truckers out there. They make America move type of thing, right? But that was okay. I just wanted more. So by wanting the more and then trying to figure it out along the way, that got me to say, I'm going to be a little bit unattached with what my center of influence thinks. And let me just continue to put myself out there. And if it ain't my center of influence, it's going to be somebody else. But I'm going to get what I want.
How long did it take you to say I'm ready to go into this full time? Because I'll tell you, for me, it took me way too long. I think I think it was like 5 or 6 years. In
Yeah.
hindsight, should have done it sooner. For you,
Right.
how did that look?
I think within the year,
Oh
I
wow, dang,
just,
you
yeah.
extremely went just all in.
Yeah,
Cool.
so within the year, I just started seeing, because when I started kind of dabbling, at first it was kind of like side hustle, whatever.
Right.
Then I got the first client, within the first 3 months. Okay, 6 months, and then I closed the deal. Okay,
Yeah.
closing. And then I started seeing the industry, and I started seeing, like, even watching the people at that time, like the $1 million listing shows and things of that sort. The economy was kind of recovering. It was things were uncertain, but I just started seeing, like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of money playing some version of the real estate game. Let's get into that world a little bit deeper. And that's where now I just kind of said, you know what, I have to go in that direction.
What was the scariest part in that season for Noi?
The unknown,
The
the
unknown.
the what if I don't make it, the what if I'm not that good at it, what if people don't trust me, what if I'm okay right now, I have 1 or 2 good months, but what happens after that, right? So it's just future thinking, the unknown of it, which is the scariest part. And I think till this day it's just
Really?
like right now, it's like, oh, we had a okay month this month. Well, what's happening next month? I have no idea. So
And how
that's
long have you
always
now been in
scary.
the business?
15 years now, 15,
15
16 years.
years.
Yeah.
Okay. And the unknown, that feeling's still there.
The feeling is still there. Like, I never
There.
feel like it's secure, but at the same time, I love it,
Right.
because I wouldn't be happy saying, "Oh, I work for this corporation, I work for this company, I'm okay, I'm getting my salary." I wouldn't be happy with that, because I know at least now, if I put in the work, what I'm putting in, I know eventually down the road I'll get it right back, and
Hmm.
that to me is like, and that means the world to me.
So if you can think of year one, year two, year three, did you ever feel like giving up?
Yeah, and yes and no. Like, did the thought cross my mind? Like, am I really cut out for this? Yes, However, coming from my background, my family history, and just knowing that, I kind of put the weight of my family's well being on my shoulders, I didn't give myself that option. I was like, I have to see this through one way or the other.
It's funny because when I let go of my full-time job to jump into real estate, funny story, the first time I'm ever gonna say it to out there to everyone, right? Um, I will have nightmares of being back at my job. It was so funny. Like I find it so interesting. Like I will literally wake up like, oh man, like I gotta go, and then it was like it was just connected to the fact that I had a dream that I had to go to work. So for me, the one thing that helped me is my circle, like my family. They always kind of like help me push. Did you have people around you, friends, coaches, mentors, back in year one, two, three, or it was just you just pushing through everything?
Aside from my mentor that I was kind of shadowing and learning the business from, it's like as far as the motivational keep going, you're doing good. No, it was
No.
really just the want and the desire. I did it. Yeah, my family was supporting me and things like that. Like, yeah, you're doing good, keep it up thing. But it wasn't kind of like they were like there, like, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, okay.
Don't quit. You'll be fine.
I think they were
Yeah.
probably just as nervous as I was, right?
I like how
Um,
it works.
but yeah, it was scary. It was a scary time because I did feel like it was just all me at that point.
Wow. So you're going through the business, you're finding like I guess how to work with COI and everything that you're afraid of. Is there someone that you were trying to like compare your business to? Like did you have like a clear target of who you wanted to be or not really? It was more like let me see what's the maximum of sales I could do. Like was it money driven or was it like image driven? I guess that's the question.
Money driven or image driven? It wasn't necessarily about the money and the aspect of like I just want to have a bunch of money. It wasn't necessarily that. It was just kind of like I just wanted to be able to provide for me, at
Okay.
least for me. I just
Okay.
wanted to provide. Can I provide? Can I take care of my mom and dad and help them with the bills? Can I then have my own home? Can I then cover my bills? Can I have my car? That was initially it. Then it was like, okay, I think I'm getting by. I got that covered. Check. I was still consider myself young. I'm 41 now, but at that time I was like my late 20s, early 30s. All right, let me get my dream car. I want to start driving something nice. Eventually, I gotta attract that partner, that girl. Like how do I attract them? Let me start kind of making it. And then as far as the North Star, what was I shooting for? I would look at who were the top agents in our local market here in the Chicago area and kind of see what are they doing, how are they doing it, and even on the ones that put themselves out there, the $1 million listing agents, the ones that at that time were kind of on social media the most often as recognized as top agents. At least in those early years, I would look at them and try to model a version
Mm.
of what I was doing with what they were doing because it was either the top agent or what was getting attention. So I would do in that direction, but then still try to do me at the same time.
Hey, there's Jose Alvarez. I hope you're enjoying the Journey podcast by Collect the Closers. Many entrepreneurs are always messaging me about how do I backbite my time? And that's where our favorite sponsor comes into the picture, Q4 Workspace. If you're looking for system support, executive assistants, editors, graphic designers, cold callers, basically anyone that can help you backbite your time and really enjoy the freedom of your business, they're the people to call. Not only can they find the right support, but they can also train and create an operating system that will give you your time back and help you grow your business along the way. So make sure that you go to q4workspace.com or just hit the link below so you can grab more information and start enjoying life a little bit more and not letting go of your business. Was there something that you did back then that you're like, oh, that was not a good plan? That was not a good idea. As a business owner, sometimes we do make mistakes that we're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone that route. Is there something like that that you can remember?
I can't remember like saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that" at all. I feel like whatever I tried and it didn't work, at least I learned from it.
Got
And I don't think I ever got anything. I don't recall ever doing anything too crazy
it.
that I regret, especially on the business side of things. No, I just kind of always said, "All right, if I'm gonna figure out, let me try this, let me try that." it I kind of always told myself, you're if it's either gonna work or it's gonna teach me something that I can then use for the next time.
Got it. And still talking about the early stages of the business, one of the things I emphasize to people is you got to treat your business like a business. That's one of the things that helped me like be in the place that I'm in now. Uh, did you education around that? Did that happen to you at an early stage of your business, or did it come after the fact?
That came after. That was you know, before the call we jumped into the topic of, obviously we met through the coaching programs
Right.
with Danny and whatnot. That to me really got solidified at that point. But prior to, it was it was life that taught me how to try to manage a business, in the sense that I would see agents come into the industry,
Uh huh.
and you had the opportunity to make a lot of money, but then they didn't do anything with it, right?
Yeah.
And I would see, even from, like, obviously from our hometowns in Mexico, you would see these
Mhm.
people, and like, ¿quién tenía el dinero? Los narcos, o it wasn't the factory workers, you know, it was like, los narcos son los del billete. And I was like, well, I don't want to do it that way either, because that's a whole nother thing, right? So I'm like, how do I do what I'm doing at a high level, but then still kind of build security and then
Right.
build longevity, you know? And then at that point, I was just basically learning, all right, well, I don't want to be in debt. I think that was the worst thing growing up, seeing my mom and dad constantly butt heads about the monthly bills, la renta, los biles, you know, do you have it? Do you not have it? And then that stress, you know? So I didn't want that. I knew that much. So just saying, how much bare minimum do I need to pay my bills? And then from there, how much would I need to get that thing that I want? You know, and I think for me, it came when I started, when I met my now wife, that I proposed and I did all of that. That I was like, oh yeah, I proposed. Now I got the girl, awesome. But then I didn't know. I was clueless. You got to put a date on it. Oh, when's the wedding? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I usually said yes. I'm excited for that. Well, now I got to pay for a wedding, and that taught me so much, because now there's that finite date that I have to go to, and I have to have a certain amount of money for that date. And when I was able to do that and use real estate and the deals, and pay my bills and take care of what I needed to take care of, and still put money on the side to have a savings to then pay for the wedding cash the day of, I was like, wow, I did that. That to me was like, whoa, if I could do that for a one night event like a wedding, can I do that for vacation? Can I do that for savings, investing? Can I do that for whatever I want? You know, and that kind of just sparked it, like, oh, there's a system, there's a method, there's a way of operating where I can have what I want,
Yeah.
essentially.
100%. So it's funny you mentioned your family, because that was my next question. Actually, I was going to ask you, like, you now have a family. I also saw that you purchased a ranch. Is that did I see that right? Right, and
Yeah,
we're talking
so
about it. That
so
looked good.
So obviously, growing up in Mexico, I was always around horses and cows. My grandpa had
Yeah,
them, and my dad loved them, or loves them. And I kind of grew up in that environment. And even here, when I was in high school and shortly after high school, my dad and I would have a horse. So on the weekends, we would go horseback riding and whatnot. So it's always kind of been part of what I did. So when I met my wife, we now have two beautiful daughters. One of the things that recently we started talking about was ideal life. What would that look like? I was like, oh, well, now I would love to continue to do the business that we do, but eventually I would like to have un ranchito, you know,
yeah,
come and go from Mexico, and then here at un ranchito, and work and sell houses and coach and train. And then she's like, well, why not now? Why are you waiting for 10, 15 years down the road? And I was like, that's a
nice,
great question. Why not now? And then it happened. Things lined up, and we made it happen this past year.
nice, nice. Well, congratulations on that. I saw some of the postings you were doing when and even in our like mutual groups, you even brought it up, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's really nice. So now you have the coaching system that you have going on. You're also mentoring more agents. You are, of course, successful in the business that you're doing. Is there anything else that right now Noah is missing business wise? Something that is exciting to you that you're like, you know what? This is the next thing that I'm either adding on to or just expanding or however you can describe
I think it's just connecting with more and more agents, connecting with
it.
more
Okay.
agents that I can help do what I did. We spent a lot of time talking about the first couple of years of my career, and I feel like a lot of agents, they're so short sighted nowadays that they don't think big picture down the road, 5, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and they want everything now that the patience is not there. So if I can connect, because obviously we talked a lot about like my first 2, 3 years in the business,
Yeah.
and then obviously there was that big growing period of coaching, training, building the systems, the structure, obtaining certain goals, seeing the results eventually kind of come through after the grind and the hustle, where now it's like, okay, if I can build my business up to a certain point, build a team, open up my own brokerage, close over 120 deals, that's cool, great, recognized as a top agent in the area, awesome. But what do I really want down the road? I want, obviously, we always say financial freedom. What does that
Right.
look like, right? And I think that's where I started getting very clear with what does financial freedom look like for me? What would I want my life when I'm older to look like? And even then, what do I want it to look like now? Because there's no guarantee I'm gonna get there
Right.
at old age, right? Can I enjoy my life now? So I think right now it's really just working alongside with as many people that resonate with what I'm going through, that I can learn from them, that I can then show them, that together we work well, like-minded individuals, that we're all kind of striving in the same direction to just help other people grow. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm happy. And as long as I'm able to make a living doing that, I'm even happy, because now I can then have my life and enjoy that too. So if I could, a lot of people talk about work life balance. It's just I'm a firm believer there's no such thing. I tried it and it never worked out for me. It's just kind of like you just have to do life, and real estate is the ability to just me do life, and then yeah, I could do it and make some money, but then at the same time it gives me the ability to say, hey, I'm able to take these things and then enjoy them, like the ranch, like my wife, like my kids, and then after I hang out with them, I'm going to go show a house or coach with an agent or jump on this meeting and get training myself, and it's only going to take me an hour or whatever, and then I go right back to doing what I want to do. So it's a beautiful thing once you start to kind of see big picture and then say, I want it and I want it now. I can do it. I just have to be patient and go through the process.
Why do you think you said something that is key right here? Like right now, this part that you just mentioned, I realized something. I know a lot of great top producers in multiple industries, from business owners like construction companies to realtors to lenders. And I'm noticing right now when you were saying that, I noticed that the ones that actually succeed the most are the ones that they don't look for that work life balance, but they do life doing business, right? How does someone discovers that, or how is it that some people don't find a way to adapt to that? Because I also seen the opposite, and I've seen like agents run around with, like, what do they say, that saying, the chicken without a head, and they're just
Yeah.
like total destruction everywhere. What do you think's missing?
Maybe, I think maybe what's missing is just kind of clarity on what they really want, or
Mhm.
maybe the fear of something happening holding them back from it. I think for me, it was just kind of the fear of obviously being broke is a motivator to just keep
Sure.
going and grinding. And a lot of people, they just stay in that hamster wheel. But then at the same time, I would see these top producers in different industries, like you mentioned, but then they're obviously older and whatnot, or their body's breaking down and they're still in the grind. I didn't
Right.
want that either. So when I saw that, it just kind of was like, oh man, I don't know. Like, like I don't know where like in your market, but we have to renew our license like every 2 years, right? And every time I go, it's like all these like gente mayor, señores, viejitos to renew their real estate license. And then they're talking about like they're actively out and about showing
Wow.
just to kind of pay bills. I
Yeah.
didn't, I, that I was like, I don't want that. Like, I don't
Hmm.
want to be 70, 80 years old, still having to go show a house, negotiate the deal because I have to pay the bills. If I'm that old and doing it, God bless me, I'm happy. But I'm doing
Right.
it because I want to do it, not because I have to pay my bills, sort of thing, you know? So when I saw that, I was like, I gotta build a system, a business in place where there's money working for me. I'm doing it because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. And there's a way for me to say if I stop working today, my family is still taken care of. And that's kind of where I then started to shift my focus in that direction.
Well said. You know, you described something that I share with a lot of new agents all the time. I always tell them that I'm like, look, in this business, you're gonna either be a slave to the work or a slave to your mind if things are not working out. You have to make sure you find that way where you can align yourself with the grind work and the hard work that it takes at the beginning, but little by little start discovering leverage. So that way
Yeah.
you can let go little by little and then eventually be able to just level up. And a lot of it, that in my opinion, right? And you might agree or disagree with me, but in my opinion, I feel is coaching, the people you surround yourself with, and just being really, really coachable, I think is one of the biggest things. I mean, what do you think?
I think that's the key. That
Right.
we don't understand that there's phases to this.
Hmm.
There's a phase to grind it out and hustle and do all of that, and even then, you have to learn how to do that at a high level. So
Hmm.
the coaching is a way for you to get to where you want to go a lot quicker. And some of
Hmm.
us are scared to get into that because you don't want to pay for it, because you don't want to be told what to do, or whatever your limiting belief is around it. I got to the point where I felt like I was burning out, just trying to
Hmm.
kind of figure it out on my own. And I kept seeing these top producers in the area, and when I started kind of looking at that, I was like, well, what are they doing that's different? I started noticing
Hmm.
that all of them were getting coaching and training, and here
Yeah.
I was kind of trying to just wing it, and it's like, well, thank God to that mentor, it got me to where I'm at now. And that was just me shadowing him. He wasn't like telling me exactly what to do, it was just me shadowing him. And then obviously, I was going to school to be a teacher. So I'm like, well, why am I so hesitant to learning more about the industry? Let's lean into that. And then that's when I started connecting with the coaching programs as to what do you need to do? What have you done? How did that work? How did that didn't work? What should I expect? And now there's obviously different phases in your business, different things you need to learn, things that you need to overcome, experiences that you need to kind of surpass to then go to the next level. And there's always somebody there on the other side that knows what you're going through right now that can help you get there or get past that. And when I see that, now it's kind of like coaching, mentoring, networking. It's a non-negotiable at this point.
100%. So if there's an agent out there listening, needs to get a deal. They have 30 days. I mean, not 30 days, 90 days, let's say. Let's give them a little bit more time. They have 90 days to do that. One thing, one activity that you know it to the core that if they just stick to that for the next 30, 60, 90 days, they'll see results. Is there one thing that you can recommend?
I would just recommend people focus on having conversations.
Okay.
We just talking to more people. Whatever avenue you use to talk to them, whatever, just do it. You could be cold calling, prospecting, open houses, sending note cards, social media, just talk to people. The thing is that a lot of us would sit there and say, well, I prospected for 3 hours and it didn't work.
Hmm.
Nobody said anything. They just hung up. And then they get discouraged. Maybe
Yeah.
whoever answered gave you the F-bomb, and then you really get discouraged.
Right.
And-
You're
and-
never doing that again.
yeah, never doing it again. Or you do the social media and you did a couple posts and you spent some money on some good quality videos or some marketing behind it, or you put some ad money behind it and it didn't result to anything. Or farming, and then you just give up. And the thing is that you're doing all these things, but you're not looking at the back end as far as, did you get a conversation? Because whenever I do these things, I just care to talk to one person. Like, we're so
Mhm.
focused on, like, well, how many calls did I make, or how many conversations total did I have? Did I just connect with one new person? Did they get to know me a little bit? Is there that opening that maybe they're gonna sell a house or buy a house in the near future? And if I could do that more often, eventually somebody's going to say yes. And if I could just have that conversation, I'm okay. And if I could have it more often than not, then yeah, I think we all have kind of like a law, the law of averages. And I think some of us, because we're not tracking it, we don't know what those numbers are. But if you if you tell me, go stand on the corner and just hold a sign up and talk to people about real estate, I'm a realtor. If you talk to 100, 200 people, something's got to happen.
Yeah, has to.
Somebody's
Right.
got to say, oh, what about the market, the rates? Get out of the street, something. But let's talk. Let's talk. Let's
Right.
have that conversation. And something has to happen. There's no way that nothing's going to not happen, right? So as long as you focus on having those conversations about real estate and getting people to know you, not saying you're going to close them, not saying you're going to get the appointment, but just conversating, you'll be surprised. There's people that make moves, maybe not 90 days from now, but maybe 180, maybe 6
Mhm.
months, maybe 8 months, and they remember that conversation with you. And as long as you have that in the back of your head, that's all that really matters. Because I told myself early on, I don't want to just be here for a year or two. I want to do this for the long run. So if I can connect with you today and maybe you buy 3 years from now, I'm okay, as long as you call me, not someone else.
100%. 100%. So, Noe, what is the 5-year plan for you right now? Like, you already accomplished the first, believing in yourself, building the business, getting into the business. Now you're coaching, mentoring. You got a ranch. You got the family. What's the next 5 years for Noe? What's next? Business, and also maybe some other personal thing you got going on.
Exciting times. I think right now I just kind of want to do more of what I'm doing, to be honest. And in the
Okay.
next 5 years, if I can grow here the team that we have here in the Chicago area, get that to a nice solid number of more like-minded individuals, I would love to see that happening. Help other agents kind of grow into their leadership role. Where maybe I'm not so focused on the buying selling. I'm only kind of just doing it with past client center of influence, and my primary focus would be more on the coaching side of things. I think that would be amazing. And then obviously on the personal side, riding more horses, spending more time with my daughters.
Nice. I'm like, you're probably gonna go and get more ranches and start farming or something.
Start some farms. Yeah,
Start
yeah, that's not a
farming.
bad idea.
It's super cool. So, like, one of the questions that we ask, right, our viewers, right, to ask themselves, like, is there a season of their life where they think of giving up? Is like, how do you bring yourself back to continue the consistency and the long term effects of what you just believe in yourself could bring? Has there been one time, apart from everything else that you discovered, that you have gone through, one season that you needed to close yourself again on believing and not letting go of your dream? Because we know that a lot of people, sometimes they're just like a tiny step away from finding their niche or finding their gold mine in their business, but they give up, right? So we
Yeah.
truly believe here is that closing ourselves is our biggest priority, and it starts with this. So, is there a message or something that you can give to someone that might be thinking, "Do I quit the business? Do I start the business?" Just a message that could help them resonate on that believing in closing themselves on their dream.
It's just, don't be scared to dream. Whatever that dream is, don't limit yourself. I feel like we all kind of always say, well, that's unrealistic. I don't see myself really doing it. I'm not seeing the results right now. Thinking bigger is by no means the way to go. And I remember one of my mentors told me, never change the target, change the actions you're doing to get to the target. So never, you never lower the goal. If you set the goal and you're not getting it, then just keep doing more to get to the goal, but never minimize the goal to make yourself feel like you're okay. And I think if somebody's there questioning whether they should stay in the industry or not, regardless of what that industry is, whatever you set yourself out to, coming from a college dropout, right? Like the goal will change, right? But it was one of those things that I said I'm never quitting again, because and I don't feel like I quit because it was external circumstances where in my mind I succeeded because I I was able to take care of the family, and I'm making more money than I ever would have as a teacher, right? But if somebody's in the industry and questioning it, and trust me, there's seasons where I do this at least 2, 3 times a year where I'm like, do I really want to keep doing this? Is this something for me? Because like I said, that there's always that little behind the mind fear of like, well, what's next month going to bring? Is the economy going to be okay? Is this war affecting us? Is this pandemic happening again? There's all these unknowns, and it's just like, you know what? Put your head down, control what you can control, which a lot of it, 90% of it is here. And if I can control the mindset, and I already proven myself, the fact that you're a realtor, if you're out there watching this and questioning it, this at some point was a goal to just get licensed, right? Now you're here to get into these conversations, these groups, to connect with people like you, Jose. For some of us, that was unthinkable, unheard of, and the fact that you're doing it now, if you're listening to these videos, for me, watching YouTube videos it's a key, because you start seeing other people that maybe you don't know, that you just kind of admire them from afar and they're having success. Use that as a motivation to say, well, if they can do it, why not me? And then just take the necessary actions to get 1% better, one step closer, one foot in front of the other. Because again, I feel like a lot of us, we wanted to just boom, I want to be the top agent, I want to close 100 deals, I want $1 million, and it just doesn't happen like that. Even if you want to win the lotto, you got to go out and buy the ticket. Like, it's not just going to fall on your lap. So it's just me constantly telling myself, okay, things are not going my way right now. I had a bad month, down month. Deals are not converting. I'm not getting any new leads. It's okay. I've proven myself in the past that I'm okay, that I got this. And mentally, I'm strong. And then I also am a firm believer, and obviously Diosito's got me. God's got me. There's something that happened on all my journeys and everybody's journey that brought me to where I'm at today. And it wasn't for naught. What is the positive side of things? I'm focusing on the negative. Where can I look at the positive? If I have faith, let me step into it. Faith versus fear. Let me go into the faith side and watch how things just start to just switch for you. Sometimes it's that simple, just stepping into faith and things just dramatically change for you.
100%. Then, thank you, Noe. Noe, there you go. Go saying it again. Oh, inside joke, everyone. So I've been calling Noe the wrong name this whole entire time. And I admire the guy from a distance. And the whole entire time, I keep saying his name the wrong way. But Noe, for what it's worth, man, thank you again for being here. I know that there's people that are going to listen to this podcast and it's going to make a big difference. That's the reason why we're doing this. We know we're going to impact and change the way that people see business and the way that they can just expand their business with just a simple conversation. So I really, from the bottom of my heart and the team, and we want to thank you for being here. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? What's the best way? So that way, if, I don't know, if they have a question, they might be able to even reach out. what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, Jose. Well, it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for thinking of me to join you on this new project you got working on. I love it. Wish you nothing but success. And for anybody that wants to connect, they can find me on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok at Noe Fregoso. So Noefragoso. So first and
Amazing.
last name, keep it simple.
Thank you again. And for anyone else that is watching the journey, keep watching, because we're gonna have a lot of great speakers, just like Noe. I mean, amazing human beings. So we cannot wait to just keep growing this and expanding and just sharing everything that we have found along the way. So stay tuned for everything else that the journey has to present through these channels. Subscribe and like and share with everyone else that you know in the business industry. Thank you. Thank you one more time, and I hope that you find something of value in these episodes.